Hello and welcome to the Alaska Seminar Series. My name is Valerie Stimmick-Bailey and I run the travel blog Valerie and Valise, which is dedicated to helping you visit Alaska in 2026 and beyond. I also run this YouTube channel of the same name, and I have the Destination Alaska podcast if you're listening to the audio-only version of this episode. I am delighted to be back for another new episode. If you have been following along, you know, this seminar series, most of the videos were recorded in late 2025 this year, but some destinations just had different bandwidth, different capacity, different availability, and some we couldn't get on the calendar before the end of the year. One of those was Homer, and I was so bummed. The actual issue that we had was a staffing change. So I'm delighted to have Silas joining us because he's brand new in his role, but he's been with the Homer Chamber for years, and I know he's going to be an excellent guide for us. But we had to kind of wait so we could get Homer on the calendar, but here we are. We finally are adding Homer to the collection for 2026. So if you are watching this and you want to visit Homer in 2026, you are probably going to want to see other videos that I have on my channel for 2026 as well. So make sure you head over, check out the Visiting Alaska in 2026 playlist, which has all the videos I recorded to help you visit this year. This video was pre-recorded, so I have some questions from my community, but if you have questions while you're watching, you can put them in the comments right on YouTube. If you are listening to the audio only version, honestly, the easiest way to leave a comment or a question is to go to YouTube. If that's not an option for you, maybe you don't have a YouTube account or something like that, you can find me or Homer on social medias. You kind of just search for Homer Alaska. You'll find their official page. Search for Valerie and Valise. You can find me. And if you contact me, I will do my very best to answer you, or I will reach out to Silas if it's something that I need extra support getting you the information you need. That was just a little bit of housekeeping, and I want to get out of the way as quickly as I can. So as I said, I'm joined today by the Director of Marketing, or Marketing Director, excuse me, Silas from the Homer Chamber of Commerce, and he's going to teach you all about visiting Homer this year and everything that is new in 2026. Thanks for joining me, Silas.
Yeah, thanks, Valerie. Excited to be here and share a little bit about Homer. I grew up in Homer, so I've been here my whole life. Absolutely love it. I think it's one of the most amazing places in the world. So getting to share it with people is really exciting and the best part of my job. It's really easy to market Homer when it looks like this. So I'm excited to dive into that. So I guess just to start a little bit from the high level view, if you're not super familiar with Homer, we do sit here at the end of the road. We have long been termed the halibut fishing capital of the world, famous for fishing charters for halibut and a bunch of other fish. And then more recently too, industry, the city of peonies, we call ourselves, because we have over 25 peony farms, and that's kind of a commercial industry that happens here in Homer that you wouldn't really expect. So lots of things happening. It's a great, diverse community filled with entrepreneurs, and it's an amazing place to visit. Alaskans love to come visit Homer. So if you're looking for kind of like that authentic experience, that's what I feel Homer really has to offer. Homer is an authentic place to experience Alaska. We don't get a bunch of cruise ships. So that's a big, even though we are a seaside community, we don't have that whole cruise ship mentality. And it just makes Homer feel really authentic. It's a much smaller community. And again, it's a place that Alaskans love to come vacation in the winter. So we get tons of people coming down from Anchorage in the valley just to spend a weekend in Homer. And that tells you a little bit about the community. It's where Alaskans want to go. So yeah, we're about 200 miles south of Anchorage, a ways over from Seward. You can also fly down here. And again, yeah, we are the farthest you can drive westerly on a continuous roadway in North America. So Homer is literally the end of the road in the middle of the ocean. You drive out onto the spit 4.5 miles, and that's where we end. And some of the things, yeah, that if you haven't been super familiar with Homer, some of the things that you probably have heard of, or if you're just starting to research, obviously the Homer Spit. You drive over Baycrest Hill and come down into Homer, and you see the spit laid out before you. And it is, yeah, this structure of land that juts out 4.5 miles into Kachemak Bay. Extremely unique. It's a very unique land feature that you're going to remember for the rest of your life. Being able to drive out with ocean on all sides. And then, of course, the boat harbor is out there at the end of the spit. We've got the fishing hole where people can fish for salmon that are stocked. Camping right on the spit on the beach, along, of course, with all the restaurants and shops. And the world famous Salty Dog Saloon is probably Homer's most famous landmark. I travel quite a bit, and always just in airports around the world, you'll see somebody wearing a Salty Dog hoodie. So that's Homer, that's us. One of the things that's also been kind of rising to the top, of course, Homer is known for bear viewing. We fly across Cook Inlet and view bears in the national parks over there. But more and more people we've been seeing have been coming just for the national parks themselves. People like to check those off their list, and Homer is the best, closest access point to both Lake Clark and Katmai national parks. So not only for bear viewing, but also for hitting those really hard to reach national parks. If you're trying to cross those off your bucket list, Homer's an amazing place to kind of base camp and do that from. Just look at a map, pull it up. Homer's the place to go. We're easy to get from Anchorage, and then it's just a quick 45-minute, 1-hour flight across Cook Inlet to do that. And we have a bunch of outfitters that do an amazing job with that. So a couple reasons there why more and more people are coming to Homer. And I guess I could also mention reality TV shows. We do have a couple of those, or have had in the past, and so you might know. The Time Bandit from The Deadliest Catch is docked in the harbor here when they're not out fishing, and Last Frontier with the Kilchers and others. So lots of reasons to remember Homer, and you've probably heard of it. But again, just that authenticity is what I think sticks with people when they come and visit Homer. That's what makes them want to come back. It just feels like a real amazing community that lives here and loves it, and that's why people want to come back to visit. So a few other things. Once you're here, once you make it to Homer, what is there to do? And I guess my emphasis just in talking about some of these activities, really, I think Homer's jewel is Kachemak Bay State Park, which the majority of the park is across Kachemak Bay. So it's remote access. You have to take a water taxi or a boat over there. But it really opens up just world-class adventures. If you're scrolling social media and see some of these stunning views in parks all across the world, that's Kachemak Bay State Park. It really has those glacier views, those mountain views, those remote trails that could be anywhere in the world that are just stunning and world class. And we have that right here in Homer, just across the bay. So within all of that, whether you're thinking about going hiking or kayaking or fishing, Kachemak Bay State Park is right there in all of it. And it's the oldest state park in Alaska. It was the first one. And it's Homer's crown jewel. Like it's the reason a lot of people come, and something that you have to explore while you're here. Of course, we have all the wildlife, and getting out on the bay is the best way to experience all the marine wildlife. But also just hiking on this side of the bay, you're likely to encounter moose and eagles and all of the land wildlife that we have over on this side is amazing as well. And another reason, Homer does have a reputation as a food destination, and that's one of the reasons that Alaskans love to come visit. People come down to experience the food. Just getting to sit by the edge of the beach and eat at a restaurant, that has caught their fish that day or the day before, is really special. That ocean to table experience is something that is unique to Homer, and that makes it really hard to eat seafood anywhere else once you've done that. So all great reasons to visit and to stick around for a while. We can go to the next slide to talk about some of the annual events that we put on and some of the new things that are happening this year. If you're a little more local, we have some winter events that happen. We're coming up on one in February here, our Winter Carnival celebration. Just an opportunity. It's been going on for forever in Homer, over 70 years. Just an opportunity to pause and celebrate the winter. The Chamber hosts a parade, which is a great time, the second Saturday in February. And so that's always a great time. One of our key events here at the Chamber is the Winter King Salmon Tournament, and that's coming up on March 21st this year, which this is the 32nd year, so it's also been going on a really long time. It's the largest tournament in Alaska, one of the largest on the West Coast. It's a great opportunity to get out towards the end of winter and experience something really, really special. Last year's winner, with a 30-plus pound king salmon, won over $84,000. So it's a pretty big deal financially if you're in that winning group, but also just a ton of time. We have usually over 1,000 anglers, and a great tournament post-tournament awards ceremony with some musicians, and it's just a great time to come on out. So definitely, if you're into fishing at all, get that on your calendar. Keep that in mind as you're traveling to Homer. It's a great thing to do in the winter, and just a really fun experience for people that get to participate in that. The Shorebird Festival has been happening also for over 30 years. That's in May. It's one of the largest bird festivals in Alaska, and just a great time. It kind of kicks off Homer's season for us. It's early May. and really the first big event that we have that draws in a lot of out-of-state visitors. So that's a good one to get on your calendar if you're all into birding or like wildlife, because we get the migrant birds that come through Homer really in those couple weeks there in May is pretty special to see. Driving down the Spit and just looking at it at Mud Bay, and seeing all the birds that show up during that window is pretty special. And lots of people come to see that as well. So if you're into birding, put that on your calendar, check it out. It's a good one to keep in mind. So Taste of Homer we've been working on developing this a little bit, just really showcasing Homer's restaurants towards the end of May as well. And the last couple of years, different restaurants have been putting together specials just for this week. And you can go around town, kind of get a passport type thing and check off all the restaurants that you visit. And just, it's a good opportunity to experience all of Homer's culinary scene, as all the restaurants. We have a bunch of seasonal restaurants as well. And as they're all opening their doors and getting things ready for the summer season, it's a great chance to get out and support them and really experience all of the food that Homer has to offer. And we kind of tied that in last year with this new event that we did, Harbor Fest. So Taste of Homer kind of culminated at Harbor Fest, where we had a bunch of food trucks, and we tried to do a chef competition, which is going to be coming back this year. We're excited about that. But really, all of these, putting those two events together is a great way to kick off the season in Homer and experience, the food, the arts, the music, everything artistic that Homer is known for. And moving into Harbor Fest last year was an amazing first year. We did a one-day event, and the weather was horrific. It was terrible, and we still had over 1,500 people come out. So we were really pleased with the success of that. So this year we bumped it up to a 2-day festival, and that's going to be on June 5th and 6th, and you're not going to want to miss it. We're about to start dropping headliners for that, so watch our socials. But it's going to be an event that you do not want to miss. I don't know of any other music festivals in Alaska that take place on the ocean like this one does. It's a really unique setting there by the Deepwater Dock. You can kind of see the event area there in the photo. And yeah, we're going to have a ton of people. We're going to have an amazing boat show representing manufacturers here in Homer and across the state, making amazing boats. Baywell Boats is one of the big sponsors, and of course they're a famous Homer company that produces top-notch boats. But we're really excited about that. So get that on the calendar if you're at all interested in the marine industry, boat side of things, or into the music scene. We're putting it all together along with food and art, and it's going to be the kickoff to Homer's 2026 summer season that you really can't miss. So tickets are available now. You can go grab those at the early bird rate, and then once we start announcing names, they're probably going to go up. So go buy your tickets now, homerharborfest.com. Another thing is the peony celebration. Like I mentioned earlier, we are the city of peonies. We have over 25 peony farms that commercially grow peonies for the flower markets. And so we just take the opportunity in the summer to celebrate that as the farms are working and growing their flowers. And you can go around town and see different gardens that are blooming. Lots of people enjoy coming to town to experience that. And we're still trying to grow it this year and have more events during the celebration because it runs all month. But it's highlighting agriculture in Alaska is really fun because it's a challenging environment to farm, and you wouldn't think of Homer as being such a special place to jump into the flower market, but it really is. I mean, we're still harvesting peonies at the end of August that are then lasting in the fridge into even September, and nowhere else in the world are you getting peonies that late. So it's unique and something really worth celebrating. So keep an eye on that if you're interested in flowers. It's a fun event. So just talking a little bit about if you're putting together your trip, thinking about when you're coming, obviously summer is the prime time. And looking at Homer's numbers, we've been digging into visitor data traffic. Like July is the month that everyone wants to be in Homer, and that's for good reason. It is a key time in Alaska. It's when we have endless sun. It's the warmest. Everything's open. It's beautiful. Like, yes, July is an amazing time to come. But thinking about kind of our whole summer season, which in Homer really lasts kind of end of May to the first part of September. Expanding out that summer a little bit to think about the months of June and August, there's still amazing times to be in Homer. June's weather is pretty much as good as July, sometimes better for us. And there's less people in town, so it's easier to book your excursions and get accommodations. So we're trying to encourage people to broaden out just a little bit more, because there's so much more to see. You don't have to just be in Homer in July. You can experience all of it, a little more than that. And one thing that halibut regulations, so that's always, they release those every year, the International Commission on that. And they did just announce the regulations for 2026. And Tuesdays are going to be closed in June, July, and August. So if you want to push to that May and September, gives you an extra day to fish with a charter. Just a little bit of an incentive to push into those shoulder seasons as well. And we can talk more about that later. But thinking about, I guess, later summer too, the hikes across the bay are better the later you push, as all the snow has melted, especially if you want to get up into the mountains a little bit, into the elevation. Consider more that end of August is kind of the peak for the higher elevation trails across the bay. Winter in Homer, obviously, this is not our peak tourism season, but it is a really special time to be in Homer. And I've just been reminded of that this winter, just driving around every day. It is so incredibly beautiful. The snow across the bay and the sunlight is unbeatable. Like, we get the alpenglow, just the mountains turn pink. It seems like almost every day we're getting these gorgeous sunsets and sunrises. Like, I'm a summer person. I love the warm. That is my favorite time of year. But winter in Homer is incredibly beautiful, and it's also really special. And so if you want to experience kind of I was talking about how Homer is authentic all the time. If you want to experience the authentic Homer, try coming in the winter sometime, and just slow down for a little bit, pause, book a place with a really nice view, and just enjoy the beautiful sunrises and sunsets and the slow pace of our community in the winter. It's really special. And compared to some other communities in Alaska, Homer is still, for its size, is a very active community in the winter. We're not the cruise ship destination. And so there's still plenty to do in the winter. Our summer season isn't that different. Sure, it's busier, but we still have plenty of restaurants and activities open and operating in the winter. And we are one of the places that you can still fish in the ocean in the winter. We have a robust king salmon fishery, feeder kings that come up to Kachemak Bay to feed before going back down south to their streams. So there are options. Also, Tanner crab is a winter fishery here. And so that's one of the few communities in Alaska where you can still get out and do some great charters and do some ocean fishing in the middle of winter. Weather is a little bit more challenging. You might have to plan for some flexibility, because the weather can be a little rough. So plan that into your planning. But it's a great opportunity to get out in the winter and do some fishing. And then again, just talking about pushing those shoulder seasons, fall and spring in Homer are both amazing. And again, even those hikes across the bay are the best in the fall, even pushing into September. Sometimes we won't really get snow until October in the mountains. And so you really have a good, a long fall to experience a lot of adventures here in Homer. If you're wanting all the shops on the spit, all the restaurants, all the activities, things do start shutting down pretty quickly after Labor Day. But if you're a little bit more into adventuring on your own and want to take a water taxi across the bay or book one of the charters that operates year round, definitely think about the fall. And then spring, of course, is beautiful with all the birds that are coming. If you want to hit the Shorebird Festival, or just view all the greenery that's starting to pop up as spring comes back, it's a great time to be in Homer as well. So what's new for 2026? I tried to kind of just pull together some of the stuff that's been coming across our desks here at the chamber. And there's probably more that I'm missing, but to highlight a few of the things that I've been thinking about. North Star Dog Mushing is a company that's planning to start offering tours with their sled dogs this year. So that's kind of exciting for Homer. We have a bunch of local mushers, obviously, but we haven't really had tours before. And North Star is a company out of, or a group out of Fairbanks that brings some of their dogs down every summer for training here in Homer. So they're looking to expand into offering guests the opportunity to come see what they're doing. And so that kind of just checks another box. We like to say that Homer has it all. Any Alaskan adventure that you want to do, you can do in Homer. And this is one that hasn't really been too public before. And a lot of people kind of have that on their Alaska bucket list. And you wouldn't really think of Homer for that necessarily. But hey, we've got it now too. You can go see your sled dogs here in Homer. Also, Homer Horse Adventures. It's been around for a little bit, but last year had a really successful season. Kind of just put together some really good packages for people to do beach horse rides, and did really, really well last year. So he's booking up for 2026, and that was just fun to kind of watch his outfit grow and see the amazing reviews he's been getting. People enjoying riding horses along Homer's beaches. Kind of a unique experience. As I mentioned before, Homer Harbor Fest has expanded to 2 days, so it's a 2-day festival now, and tickets are available. You don't want to miss out on that. Friday is going to be a little bit more focused on the boat show. The boat show will be available both days, but if you're really into the marine trades, single day tickets will be available soon. So plan on coming out on Friday for a great experience at the boat show, and then if you want to experience all the best of all the music, grab those tickets for Friday and Saturday. And yeah, we're going to be dropping the lineup here in the coming weeks. Pretty soon we'll start announcing some of those names. Homer's food scene, is always evolving and flowing. We have like the old classic staples are all still here, but we've had a bunch of new restaurants, new food trucks popping up this year. Just to mention just a couple, if you've been to Homer before, the Happy Face building down on the spit next to the Salty Dog was recently purchased and remodeled. They did a really beautiful job with that. It's a much nicer looking building than it used to be, and a couple restaurants popped up into that. So Cove & Co. is a year-round cafe down in the bottom of that. A really great team running that, and it's nice to have an option down on the spit for coffee year-round, a place to sit down, get some work done, and they've got some great food in there as well. And yeah, they are open year-round. And then Red Table Barbecue popped up, and they're just open in the summer, but in the same building there, another new option to eat down on the spit. It's kind of nice to have that. And then a whole bunch of food trucks popped in new this year. We've got some new ones coming for 2026. So Homer's food scene is holding its reputation. Things are looking really good for 2026. We try and stay on top of all of that at the chamber. If you go to the restaurants page on our website, we update a dining guide weekly during the summer and try and keep all the options on there. So check that out. Also, the Sultry across the bay in Halibut Cove, they just opened their reservation line for 2026. So you can go onto their website and book those reservations for them. Also, the Meandering Goat will be opening in May again. So look into them for those really out of the box experiences to take a ride across the bay and eat at these amazing restaurants. Eastland Trails is a new trail system that should be opening in the middle of summer. Hopefully, if things all go well, by July, that should be open, at least the first phase of it. And that's a new hiking and mountain bike trail system that's being developed out East End Road, which is actually in a small portion of Kachemak Bay State Park that's on this side of the bay. So it's a little bit of a drive out East End, but it's something that Homer has really never had before. We haven't had this level of trail system developed. So it's really going to be an amazing asset to the community. It's going to be something that you're not going to want to miss if you're into mountain biking at all, or into, just hiking. The views out there are really incredible, and we're excited to have that asset here in the community as well. It's going to be amazing for visitors. So again, you can go to the cycling club is kind of the project, or the organization that's leading that project. So you can go to their website for the latest updates, but we are looking at potentially a July opening for those trails. So that's exciting. As I mentioned there before, those halibut regulations that just came out. So you are still allowed 2 halibut with a charter. One can be over 27 inches. One has to be under 27. It's going to be closed Wednesdays all throughout the year. And then June, July, and August will also be closed on Tuesdays. So a little bit of an incentive to push to those May and September shoulder seasons. but there's still plenty of fishing opportunities all throughout the year. And a number of the charter companies also purchase into the GAF program, which lets them fish any day of the week. So there are options. You just have to dig a little bit and consider coming in that May, June, August, September, when things are a little easier to book. We do have some new charters that are operating year round. Again, those winter king salmon and tanner crab is a really fun experience during the winter. And, booking a charter can be really hard if you're just trying to Google it. So I'd recommend just calling our visitor center and talking to our hosts, because we can match you with the experience that you're looking for. If you're looking to buy out a whole boat, take your 6 friends on a private charter, or if you're looking for a bigger boat that might be a little cheaper because they're taking 15 or 20 people out there, or if you're just looking for like that luxury, really high-end experience and want like the absolute best that you can get, we have those people too. So whatever you're looking for, it can be hard to find on Google sometimes, but call our hosts here at the visitor center and we can help you with that. And again, just as we've really seen it here at the visitor center, as people are shifting to sustainable tourism, the top questions that we're getting are people asking, what can I do on my own? What hikes can I do? What just experiences can I do to see the beauty around really Kachemak Bay State Park? Just keep that in your mind to explore that. Take a water taxi, get out there, do a tour around Kachemak Bay with one of our tour companies. We have amazing people who know all about the geology and history, all the birds, and these are great ways to experience the community and the environment that we have here in Homer in a sustainable way. And that's the beauty is just going to resonate with you and you'll remember forever. So just keep that in mind. And we are really seeing that shift. The people are looking for those experiences more and more.
Amazing. Oh, there's so much. And it's funny when you were talking, I'm going to just go back to the two of us so we can do some Q&A. What's funny is that I feel like fishing from Homer, which is the main thing that people generally think of, or like maybe was historically what Homer was known for, is increasingly like not on people's lists, but it's on the list for so many other experiences they want to have. And it's exciting every year. I've done one of these videos to see what new things Homer is offering, like dog sledding and horseback riding and getting out and just doing some hiking or mountain bike. Like that's all new stuff that people are also looking for. And I just love to see that simultaneously the fishing, especially like the charter fishing industry, is doing great. Like there's plenty of interest. Lots of people are doing that, but there's all these other activities, whether you want to do fishing plus something, or you just aren't into fishing and you want to do something else, which we actually had a question about, but I feel like you pretty well answered it, that like there's a lot of things to do that are not fishing, or if bear viewing's out of your budget or something like that. Let's just bring the question up just so that I can say that I definitely got it answered. So this person specifically said they're not really, I don't think they want to be out on a boat. They don't have the money to spend for bear viewing. So if you give like top 3 other than Kachemak Bay State Park, because we know that one should be on their list, what else would you recommend? Like they sound like they want to be outdoors. So where do we point people?
Yeah, I mean, that is a great question, and it's one that we get all the time. And I guess a part of when I'm talking to people, that are thinking about visiting Homer, kind of my thing is just like, what experience are you looking for? Because if you are, if you're somebody who wants, the nightlife and, a city scene, like, you're not going to find that in Homer. So really, are you looking for that authentic kind of way to unplug and just slow down? That's what Homer has to offer. So, I mean, get out and walk along our beaches. We have some of the best beaches in the state, and just being able to stroll along the whole spit, hike our trail system that's over on this side, or take a water taxi to the other side. Really, to me, it's the opportunity to unplug and just enjoy the beauty around us. Homer has that to offer without the crowds of some other Southeast communities or places that are a little easier to access.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that Alaskans love visiting Homer. And that's like one of the biggest compliments I think you can give in a state so big, that when Alaskans are traveling and they're traveling to Homer, that tells you there's something special going on there.
Yep.
Okay, so before I forget, if you are listening, maybe you like jumped in halfway through. If you have questions, make sure you put them in the comments on the video, or reach out on social media, or find this video on YouTube for your questions if you're listening to the audio only version. I'm going to keep going with some other questions that we have. So I do have a bear viewing question, which I think is worth talking about, because that's definitely, I agree with you. Like I've seen an increase in the general interest in going to Lake Clark or Katmai from Homer. Used to be primarily people were going from Anchorage. Now there's this second option. So, and I think this is the case that there actually are also boat tours that can take you from Homer over. So can you talk a little bit about the differences? Like, is it different parks? Is it different kinds of bear viewing experiences from Homer?
Yeah. So most of the boats are going to Lake Clark National Park. There may be some that go to Katmai as well. I'd have to double check, but most of them are going to Lake Clark. So the big difference is, I mean, one of them is price. Boat is cheaper, usually by a fair bit. Obviously, the boat companies don't have quite as high insurance rates and all that jazz. So it is just a cheaper option. It does make for a longer day, so you do have that because the boat ride takes a bit longer to get across the bay. And then generally, like you're getting off the vessel, you know, usually in hip boots or whatever, and walking along the beach that way. Yeah, so boat really has some advantages too. Like you are on the water longer, so you have the potential to see more marine wildlife on the trip across. There is that, and also weather. Like sometimes it's too foggy for the planes to get out, but boats can get underneath that. Obviously, then planes have an advantage. Sometimes when the water's too rough, the boats can't get out, but the planes can. So really, I would say the biggest thing that people are looking at is the price difference. Boat is a little more affordable, but they are different experiences too. So there are advantages to both.
Yeah. And I think it's important to point out, like if you're doing a boat, the area of Lake Clark that you have access to is different than the area you would via plane. So if you're looking at Lake Clark specifically as part of the reason you're visiting Homer, make sure you look at the National Park Service like resources and maps to get a sense of, okay, if I can fly, I'm probably going to Lake Clark or somewhere inland in the park. If I'm taking a boat, I'm probably going coastal. You're going to have bear viewing experiences in both, but they are literally different parts of the park. And the parks in Alaska are really big. So keep that in mind as well.
And it does. I mean, it kind of depends on the park experience you're looking for too, because planes, like you're gonna fly over the park, you're gonna see the volcanoes, you're gonna get that aerial view that's incredibly stunning, and you're gonna miss that by boat. But then you know maybe you want the boat experience of being more boots on the ground the whole time. But really, it just depends on what you're looking for.
Yep. Cool. Okay. And I know you mentioned that Homer is not a cruise port, but I know you do get a couple ships a year. And I think a lot of people, when they look at Homer, they say, okay, I'm going to avoid those days if they don't want to be in town on the same day as the ship. Do you have a cruise ship calendar for 2026?
We do keep one here at the chamber. I'm not sure that it's online, and I don't know that we have it on our website anywhere, but feel free to reach out to the visitor center. Yes, we do have that available. I think for 2026, we're looking at, it was right around 12 ships, I believe. Yeah. And they're on all days of the week. It's not super consistent. And the majority of them are really small. So that's the other thing to keep in mind. Like you see a cruise ship on the calendar, you're not even going to notice it's there most of the time. You know? People really absorb into the community. If it's a cruise ship of 200, 500 people, you don't notice that they're there. Most of them are going out on buses to do other excursions. So don't let that deter you. You know, locals obviously say that, you know, there's a cruise ship in the bay, I'm not going to go down to the bay. You know, maybe if it's one of the 1,500 passenger cruise ships, maybe think about that. But really, you're not going to notice it. So don't let that stop you.
It's a lot like Wrangell, and I want to reference Wrangell only because I have a video about Wrangell, so you'll see that pop up here in just a second on the screen. That you just don't have a lot of the huge ships. Like you don't have the capability to handle those mega ships. And so even, you know, the smaller ships that I've sailed on, like they're 200 or maybe even less than that. You're going to notice the ship out there, but they're not necessarily going to impact your ability to enjoy Homer. Speaking of boats, though, got a question about the ferry. And I know literally the week we're recording this, there's a lot of conversation happening in Alaska about ferry funding and schedules. And so like, we don't have specifics, but the ferry does visit Homer? ?
Yes. So it's not connected to, like you can't get on the ferry down in Washington and make it to Homer. You would have to get on, but our ferry does run to Kodiak and then down to Aleutian. So kind of those would be the big experiences if you're looking to go to Kodiak or all the way down to Dutch Harbor. And then obviously we have Seldovia across the bay, the community, and the ferry will pop over there back and forth. So the preliminary schedule that they released was looking very similar to last year's, in that we'd be in Homer 3 or 4 times a week and then headed over to Seldovia and back and then down to Kodiak and Port Lions. and then about once a month go down to the Aleutians.
Okay.
So yeah, assuming that funding comes through, and yeah, that is a little bit up in the air right now, but that's what we'll be looking at if it happens.
The ferries are, if you are looking to visit Alaska as a visitor, the ferries are really interesting when you talk to Alaskans about them, because if you live in one of these communities that isn't on the road system, the ferry, and you're on the ferry system, it is critical for the community. It's how groceries get brought in. It's how people bring in large things that they need. You know, they're not going to charter like a freight or a cargo ship to get what they need. So the ferry is a really interesting, unique aspect of life in, not so much in Homer, because Homer is on the road system, but in communities that are connected to Homer by the ferry. If you find yourself in the Salty Dog next to an Alaskan, you know, ask them if they've ever taken the ferry to Kodiak, and like, that's the start of a great story.
Yeah. And I mean, that is a great experience to
Yeah.
do, you know, that would be a ton of fun. It's pretty affordable. And I should also mention that the Tustamina is our current vessel, and they just put out the bid for its replacement. So that is coming down the pipeline, a new fancy ferry for this route. So that'll be exciting to see
That
if
will
and
be.
when it happens.
Hopefully it'll happen eventually. It just might not happen on the original timeline they hope for.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you. I just got to do a little more housekeeping and just say again, if you have a question and it was not answered in this Q&A, which I'm sure you have plenty of questions, there are several ways to get it answered. As mentioned before, you can put it in the comments on this video. Find this video on YouTube if you're listening and you want to just comment on the video itself. Reach out on social media to me. Reach out to the Homer Chamber of Commerce on their social media. They are on, I think, everything but the big ones like Facebook and Instagram, of course. You can also go into the caption of this video where you will find the website for the Homer Chamber of Commerce. You will find their social media links right there. You'll find some links that I have from my own exploring in Homer and the Homer area. And I think that just about covers it. Again, if you have any questions, just put them below and I'll make sure you get an answer, whether they're Homer or anything Alaska related that I've been to. And again, I'll just wrap it up by saying thank you again, Silas, for joining me. This was wonderful. And I'm so glad we're able to share Homer this year.
You bet. Appreciate it. Thank you.